Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining me today. This is Marilyn Gale. Before I get started, let me just remind anyone that has not subscribed to my channel, I extend the invitation for you to click on that red subscribe button and also the notification bell so you can get all my videos and all my podcasts. Okay, now I am going to talk about the couple that I know the least about. And that is annanicolesmith and larry-birkhead. Now, as the documentary went on, I could look at certain things and say, oh, I remember that. But as far as their relationship together, if you have seen the documentary, it will show for the most part, it was kept more so a secret. And when you did see Anna Nicole kiss and flirt and grab Larry's behind and squeeze it, you thought she was just being Anna, just being playful, just being flirtatious with everyone, and you didn't really take it serious. And even Larry did not take it serious. He thought, Anna was just being silly and flirting also, and never did he think until it progressed that it could turn into something serious. I think he was mostly starstruck, and he admitted he had never dated a celebrity, anyone in show business. He was a photographer, and he would go to the Kentucky Derby and take photographs of Anna. And Anna Nicole, she basically kind of pulled him into her world. She had asked when she saw him first, she had asked someone, who was that? And I think it was her attorney. She asked Howard K. Stern. And don't confuse that with Howard Stern, the radio personality. That's someone different. The attorney, to me, he was manipulative, he was cunning, and he was, in my opinion, from what I watched and what I learned about him, he was in love with Anna Nicole, and I think she knew it. And what attorney ends up living with their client? So people thought that was strange anyway, the relationship. Now, mind you, it was said that he slept on the couch. So it was nothing romantic. And even further down the line, they had some ceremony, him and her, and one of her makeup artists who was staying in I think near the pool house or another room or something, had asked, Nicole asked her, why didn't you stay in the house? And she said, well, I didn't want to get in between you and Howard. And she said, oh, that's for show. So Anna had admitted that, that relationship was just for show. And I'll tell you later on why she put up that front. That her, between her and Howard. Now, like I said, personally, I think Howard was manipulative, and that he was in love with Anna. But I saw Anna's relationship with Larry. I think she looked at him as some a normal part that she could live her life, because everything was her being a star, and people after her, and people wanted to be with her, and people were just interested in her, for the come up. I even think that the attorney wanted to be around her so he could stay relevant. I may be wrong, but I think through Anna, he became more popular. I don't think a lot of people that was outside of his circle, outside of him being, outside of being his client, really, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but I had never heard of him until Anna Nicole. So, that part is kind of iffy to me, was he around her mainly because he was in love, or around her because she kept him in the limelight, or maybe even both. Now, when it came, I learned from this documentary, when it came to Larry and Nicole, their relationship was off and on. When he realized I think when he realized they were actually in a relationship together is when Anna told him she was pregnant. And, I think that put into shock. And I think that's the first time he realized, in my opinion, that, oh, maybe we are in a relationship. But unfortunately, not too long after, Nicole told him that she had lost the baby. Now, let me just mention that Danny, her son, which she was very close to, and I think she shared a lot of things with Danny. Maybe some things she shouldn't have. Maybe, some parents just share too much, I think, with their children. But I think she wanted to be the parent that was open-minded and give him the childhood that she never had, because it wasn't any secret that her and her mom did not get along. Now, you didn't get that from the documentary so much, but just remembering some things afterwards before her death, things that she went through, that her mom and her really didn't get along. And I think that made Howard make certain decisions later down the line, which I'll go into just a little later. Now, with Danny, I got the feeling, which I didn't hear him say it, but I just got the feeling he didn't care too much for Howard K. Stern. He didn't care too much, but he did like Larry. In fact, one of her good friends asked him, and he really liked Larry. So Larry being with his mom, he did not mind at all. And I think Anna knew that, and that made her even more comfortable, in my opinion, with Larry. And I think that's another reason why Howard was, and I think he was jealous of Larry, but I think that's one of the reasons why he was jealous, because Danny, if you can get close to Danny and Anna knew that you liked each other, I think that gave whoever it was points. And so I think he knew that Larry had points with Anna because, Danny, her son, really liked Larry. Also, I think he was jealous of Larry because I think he knew that Anna genuinely liked or even loved Larry. Now, like I said, they broke up a few times, and she would always call, where are you? Where are you? Who are you with? Because she did have a little jealousy, according to the documentary, of their relationship, because he wasn't a bad looking guy at all, and she was very beautiful. And so she would call him, and he'd come back every time. Now, before that relationship, she had gotten married. So the elderly billionaire, his name was Howard Marshall. He was, he was like, 80 something, maybe 89. And she was 26. And Anna used to be a stripper. And that's how the billionaire, he was an oil man. He got his money from oil. So, that's where I guess he went to the place where she danced, and, he was intrigued with her. And, they end up getting married. Now, he asked her, she said, about a few weeks after they met, to marry her, but she said no, she wanted to make a name for herself. And she mentioned that many people thought that she was a gold digger. And, but she said no, she just, she could have married him, years ago. I think they got married about 4 years after or something. When Danny was 4, she married him, but she didn't say she was a gold digger. I personally think, yeah, she was. I really think that she was. I know that she wanted a better life for her son and for herself. And with this billionaire, she wouldn't have to worry about finances or anything. And that he really, Howard Marshall really, really liked, Danny, according to people. So he took good care of both Anna and him. So when the billionaire died, the son, E. Pierce Marshall, he went to court. Number one, Anna was not on the will. But Anna contested it because she says, although she wasn't in the will, that he made a promise to her and her son that he would always take care of her. And that was one of the things that they agreed upon before she even, got married to him, that he would always take care of her. And so, ultimately, she won some money from that. And if I'm not mistaken, I didn't research that, but from memory, I think E. Marshall died either right after the decision or right before or in between, them going back to court. He died. So Anna did get some substantial money, from her being married to the billionaire. And maybe that's another reason why, the attorney wanted to be next to him. He not all attorneys are honest, and we all know that. So maybe that's another reason why he figured, he might get connected with Anna so he can get a piece of that pie, So, and maybe maybe he was a gold digger, who knows? But getting back to Larry and her, the final breakup, she left. She left and she went to the Bahamas. She had gotten pregnant again before that. And Larry knew that. And, when she left for the Bahamas, Larry did not know that would be the last time he would see Anna Nicole. So the only time he saw her was, I think, with the rest of everybody else, when, pictures was taken. He didn't know at first where she went. And, he found out that she had went to the Bahamas, and he found out the reason why she went to the Bahamas, because there's a clause in their laws over in the Bahamas, and I'm not sure whether that has been changed, but it was a clause at that time, meaning that if a woman says this person is the father of that baby, well, that's what it was. And, don't contest it, because if the mother say you're the father, then that's the way it was. And she wanted, for whatever reason, for people to think that Howard K. Stern was the father of the baby. And that is why she did that mock wedding ceremony. I think to throw Larry off to, I'm married now. And so that's the reason why she did that, I believe. He was constantly, emailing her, and I think he called her a few times, saying, come back home with the baby and everything. So anyway, he did not see the baby being born, and that would be their child, a little girl that, oh gosh, she looked so much like her mom. And so she stayed there, and mysteriously, no, let me track. Danny was going, and her best friend had convinced him, go and see your mom and your little sister, when the baby was born. And Danny did not want to go. It's like he knew something, and he didn't say anything to anyone if he did know something, but he did not want to go to the Bahamas. So Anna's good friend convinced him to go to the Bahamas to see his mom and the little sister. So he said, okay, I'll go. So he went over there. The baby was born. Oh, and everything was just, he just looked like, they had pictures. He just looked like he loved his little baby sister. And Nicole always wanted a little girl, but after she had the miscarriage the first time with Larry, she figured she couldn't have any more children. So when she had her little girl, it's like, I think she was just so happy. Now, mysteriously, Danny died, and Anna was devastated. She just didn't want to live anymore, and I think she expressed that to a few people. She just didn't want to live anymore. How Danny died, I'm not really sure. It really didn't go into how he died. I'm trying to remember, because I heard that on the news, and it was like, wow, it touched a lot of people, because he knew for a long time, all of us knew for a long time, it was just her and Danny. And then he dies. And I think the report was that it was drugs involved. So I'm not really sure. And I'm asking, did Danny have a premonition or something? Because he surely did not want to go. But when he was urged to go, he just seemed like, from what I can gather, just from the documentaries and things I remember in the past, he just seemed like the kind of little guy that, he always wanted to do the right thing by people. He didn't want to disappoint people, and he especially did not want to disappoint his mom. So I think that's why he went. But do you guys think he had a premonition? And I say mysteriously, because I don't even know if I believe that drug story. And if it was drugs involved, did he unknowingly take them, if you catch my drift? Now, who is the person who would gain anything if it was foul play? Who would be the person? Because mind you, I don't hear anyone say that Danny liked Howard K. Stern. And allegedly, and let me throw that in there, because I don't want that attorney coming after me. I don't even know where he is these days. But allegedly, I just feel like Danny didn't care. But who would be the person who would gain anything if Danny was out of the way? Because remember, whoever Danny liked, I think would capture Anna Nicole's heart. At least in that part of her world. Well, that would be one least thing that she would have to worry about. Her son does not like who she chooses to be with. So Anna mourns her son. At the same time, she's a new mom, and hormones are all over the place being a new mom. So then I know she had pneumonia. But then on a couple of parts in the documentary when her voice was taped, especially when she was talking to Larry. And I think Larry started taping those conversations is because at one point, and I think Coward was behind it, at one point he was accused of harassing Anna and some sexual misconduct. Allegedly. So I think at that point he started taping the conversations with Anna, and by her voice she sound very weak. She sound high, in my opinion now, or drugged up. And whether it was by choice or not, I don't know, because mind you, she suffered from seizures and she would take medication. In fact, she took some medication. She had had a seizure before this music award, and she had done a video or worked with Kanye West. And she was at one of the music awards, and she was just, oh my gosh, she just seemed like she was just high, and she was just all over the place, and you really, it was embarrassing in a way to watch her. And I'm thinking to myself, because I remember when she was at the ward, and I saw that when she was talking about Kanye, he's a genius, and and if I ever, that was her tone of voice. And I said to myself, oh my God, girl, you're losing your career all in these few minutes. But to my surprise, the general public ate that up. The way she acted and the way she presented, that award, to Kanye. So, MTV and other places were, when they had something going on, they wanted her to be in it. So, I read that one wrong because I thought her career, girl, what are you doing? So, but then I think back and I look at parts of the documentary and I say to myself, was it, she was so dogmatic about going to this award, and she had a seizure the night before. Did she take some medication before that award show? Did she take some to make sure she didn't have a seizure? While she was on the show or what have you, and that could have very well been it. But then she dies. She mysteriously dies. And I'm thinking, okay, Danny dies, and then she dies. And so everybody is coming out of the woodwork. The chauffeur, Howard K. had always said that was his baby, and we all knew, I didn't believe that. Well, maybe at first I did, but as time went on, no. Everybody, even Zsa Zsa Gabor's husband was saying he fathered the child. And I think people were just out there saying that they were the father because, she had some money. When she went over to the Bahamas and she had bought that house that she was in. So she had some coins. So then, Larry wanted to make sure everyone knew that was his child. He flew over to the Bahamas. He held a news conference saying that was his child. He took his attorney with him. I guess he took him. I don't know whether he met her in the Bahamas or took him with him. But anyway, he had an attorney, and they wanted to get an immediate court order to have that baby and his DNA a test done to see if he was the father. And in his heart, he knew that was his child. Well, the DNA comes back, and the baby, Dannilyn, I couldn't think of her name at first. Dannilyn is the baby, named her after her son. So Dannilyn does belong to Larry-Birkhead. And why I think Anna told Howard K. Stern a lot of what happened in her childhood and a lot of things about her mom is because then Larry says during another press conference that he wanted to make sure that Larry-Birkhead had full custody. I mean, he wanted to make sure the mom had no parts in raising Dannilyn. And I think, and then when I did see that, because that reminded me, again, okay, yeah, he did do that. So he seemed like he wanted to protect Dannilyn, and he wanted to make sure that Annanicolesmith wishes were granted, what she wanted for her baby. I don't think Anna at any point wanted her mom to have the baby. I think maybe she wanted the attorney to have the baby initially because the attorney's name is on the birth certificate. So I think the reason why she did that is for legal reasons. She felt like, maybe he would, I don't know, maybe do better by the baby, which I don't know why, because she had to kind of set Howard straight a few times, because he was jealous of Larry, and he was saying, and she had to set him straight, saying, well, who does not like the way I do things? And, because I think he said something about Larry, because Larry ended up moving in the house. So it was Larry I think he was sleeping in the room with Anna. Howard was on the couch. And so he has some jealousy. So she had to set him straight. Whoever don't like it, in other words, let the door hit you where God split you. She didn't say that, but anyway, that's equivalent to what she meant when she told people, you don't have to be here. You don't have to be here if you don't like the way I conduct my business. So anyway, he gets custody, and then the documentary kind of shows how he just does, how Larry-Birkhead just does things okay, I think Anna would like this, and I think Anna would like that. I'm going to do this for Dannilyn because I think that would please Anna. And it just seemed like he's such a doting father to his children. And so I'm just saying that this one, this documentary, this part of the series did teach me some things or remind me of some things, because out of the three couples, I have forgotten and I knew the less about the Anna and Larry. With the other two couples, with Left Eye and with Biggie, I just saw more of what happened in their life. And I think if I had known less about them and learned more through the documentary of the people who knew them best, I think that I would have enjoyed that better. But once you know a lot of stuff and then it comes on again, you just say, well, I knew that and I knew that. But when you're just kind of reminded of some things, or you just learning some new information, you just, you just watch it closer to see, okay, what's next, because I didn't know this and I didn't know that. But, I don't know. It's hard to say whether Anna would have and Larry would have got back together if she had lived, because, or I don't know. But I do feel like if she had not moved to the Bahamas, there was a very good chance that they would have gotten back together, because they always did. But I think the attorney Howard K. Stern convinced Anna to go there, because whatever she told her attorney as the reason why she didn't want Larry to be the father, him being attorney, you better know that he's the one that suggested that she goes to the Bahamas because of that law. Okay, Anna, if you say that I'm the father, then that's what's going to be on the birth certificate and the government over in the Bahamas. That's, is based on word value on what you say. So I don't think Anna was privy to that information. I really don't. She wasn't no dummy. I think she played the dummy because you know how flighty Marilyn Monroe was, and how flighty, some of the other sex symbols are. And I don't know. I'm thinking maybe that was the persona. She wanted people to think there was an attractiveness, instead of letting her brain being, beautiful and brainy. If that's a word, brainy. Is that a word, guys? Anyway, I think she drew more people to her being flighty. So I don't know. Maybe that was an actor. Maybe she was flighty, and I don't know. But anyway, it works out that Larry appears to be such a doting father to Dannilyn. And gosh, how old is she now? Is she 16, I think? I'm not really. Is she that old? Anyway, he dresses her age appropriate, and she probably picks her own clothes by now, but it's age appropriate. He took her back to the Bahamas to let her see where she was born and let her learn a little bit about, because I think when he first picked her up after they found out Dannilyn was his, I think she was about 6 months old. So he's the only parent that she knows. But guys, I'm going to leave it there. If it comes on again, and in any of the series, with Left Eye, and with Andre, with Biggie, with Faith, with Larry, with Anna Nicole, if any of those come back on, watch it for yourself and form your own opinions on what you think. Because what I have expressed is my opinion, how I saw it. You may say things differently than I did. So I would encourage you to watch. It's on Lifetime. And maybe you guys who don't get Lifetime, maybe you can stream it in or whatever. And even on YouTube, they may have, afterwards, they may have the full episode. Someone may, chance it with the copyright and put it on their channel. You can find almost anything on YouTube. But guys, I'm going to leave it there. Thank you for joining me. I appreciate everyone who have taken out the time to hear what I had to say about all the 3 series on that. Did not mean to do but the first one, and that was with Lisa Left Eye. And in watching the other 2, I figured, well, with the response that I had with Lisa Left Eye, that part that shows her and Andre, maybe people would want to see the other 2. So that's why I brought you all 3 of the 3-part series. But guys, thank you again for joining me, and everyone have a great work week. And thank you for joining in, and I bid you all good night.